Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Ty McAllister, Communications Manager of the Math Department at the University of Houston. Thank you so much for attending our Spring 2022 meet and greet. We have about an hour and 15 minutes, so I'm going to quickly just go over our schedule so we can get started. At 2 p.m., we have Mr. Brandon Wright and Miss Maggie Renna from AIG, and they'll discuss their summer internship program, as well as their role in our summer and winter actuary camp and any other information they want to provide to us as far as career opportunities are concerned. And around 2:30, we're going to have Caleb Harmon and Miss Cange from Willis Towers Watson. This will be their first time speaking at our meet and greet. And they will also discuss their student internships. I'm not sure if they have a program or if they want to start one, but they will discuss that information as well as their full-time and part-time career opportunities. And also they'll probably give us a little bit of some of their background information about themselves and what it's like working at Willis Towers Watson. At 3 p.m., I will present our scholarship award recipients, and some of our scholarship recipients will read some statements about themselves. And around 3:10, we will have our Pi Mu Epsilon induction ceremony. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. I'm gonna turn it over to Brandon and Maggie.
Sounds good. All right. Thank you so much, Ty. And good afternoon, good Friday afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for joining with us and listening to us speak on your Friday afternoon. I'm sure there's other things that might be more fun that you could be doing. But it's a pleasure for me to be here with you all. We always enjoy talking with the students at U of H. So just quickly, Maggie pulled up someone pulled up our kind of prepared slide. So my name is Brandon Wright. I am the Deputy Chief Finance Actuary for AIG's life insurance business. And I'll explain a bit more about what that means in a minute. Maggie is with me as well. She's the program manager for our actuarial development program, which is the program that students coming out of school like yourselves would be interested in applying to and getting involved with. And she will tell you more about that a bit after I just kind of go through my bio and introductory information. And we'll take some questions at the end. So that said, so my name is Brandon Wright, like I said. So just a bit about my career journey. So I guess my life in general. So I grew up in Williamsburg, Virginia, moved to Atlanta, Georgia to go to college with the intent of being a math and engineering major. I started out in a program that I would have gotten a dual degree in math and engineering from Morehouse College and Georgia Tech in Atlanta. I thought I wanted to be an engineer because I was smart and good at math, and that's what people told me that people who were smart and good at math did. And so I got into an engineering program, went through a few years of that program, and then had my first engineering internship. And I decided that I didn't want to be an engineer after a summer working with engineers. It just didn't feel like a fit to me, and so I decided to drop the engineering degree and just decided to complete my math major. So I had 1 year left in college and undergrad with a major in math. And I didn't know a lot about my options as a math major coming out of undergrad. So I knew that I would have loved to teach, but I didn't have the patience to work with children. I did some volunteer work in elementary schools when I was in school in Atlanta, and I did not have the patience to work with small children. So decided not to be a teacher. But somewhere in my senior year of college, I heard about the profession of being an actuary. I kind of did some independent research, looked up what an actuary was. Turns out, frequently actuaries are listed as, in the top 2 or 3 careers in the country for a number of reasons. And it sounded like a fit. So I knew that I was interested in math and money, and actuaries deal with math and money. And so that seemed like a good fit. So I did some research, found out that Georgia State in Atlanta had a pretty robust actuarial science program, and I applied and got into their master's program in actuarial science. So the summer before I started my master's program in actuarial science, I had my first actuarial internship. I just happened to apply to Georgia State at a time when they had a scholarship program, a minority scholarship program in partnership with New York Life Insurance Company that also included an internship component. And so I did an internship with New York Life, realized that I did in fact want to be an actuary. I thought the work was interesting and enjoyed the work that I did and learned a lot that summer in New York. And then went through my couple of years of an actuarial science master's degree program. So finished the master's degree. My second summer while at Georgia State, I actually had an internship at what was then American General Life Insurance Company, later to be purchased by AIG. And so my internship was essentially with AIG, and I work with that same company now about 20 years later. I did take a stint after, I think it was about 15 or 16 years at AIG. And I went and worked for a consulting firm just to kind of get a different experience than working at a large insurance company. And so I worked in consulting for about 3 years, enjoyed the experience, learned a lot, but brought that experience back to AIG to work in the insurance industry. So that's kind of my journey to where I am now. My role as Deputy Chief Finance Actuary. So there are a lot of actuarial functions within a large life insurer like AIG. We have people that do modeling work. We have people that do experience studies. We have people that do financial reporting and pricing. The role of our Chief Finance Actuary function is to kind of coordinate and make sure that the decisions that are made by all of the various functions are aligned. And so we're kind of a coordinator of all of the actuarial kind of value chain within AIG. And our role is kind of to keep the objectives of the life insurance business. And so AIG has, sells several types of insurance. So we sell life insurance, several types of annuities. We sell property casualty insurance as well. And so our business is kind of segregated into product towers. And so for the life insurance business, my role is kind of coordination of all of the actuarial functions as they relate to life insurance. So that's my role now. Let me look at some of the other questions about that were in the agenda. So I guess, so yeah, what does a typical day look like for me? So AIG is a very large life insurance company. We have probably even on our life and retirement side. So we're kind of segregated into two halves. So there's a property and casualty insurance side of the house for which people would be designated through the Casualty Actuarial Society, separate set of exams and process for credentialing. And then there's a life and retirement side of the house, which I work on, and I'm a life insurance actuary credentialed through the Society of Actuaries. And so, because we kind of have a bunch of divisions, that we have a bunch of actuaries that work on various things, right? I think we have maybe within the life and retirement division, Maggie, you can probably correct me if I would imagine that we have a couple hundred actuaries or around that number on the life and retirement.
Yeah, about 156 FSAs.
Okay, yeah. So 156 fellows, numerous students as well. And so I spend a lot of time. So again, my role is kind of coordinating between functions. I manage a team of 7 actuaries, so 4 fellows of the Society of Actuaries and 3 students currently. And so I spend a lot of time in meetings. I would say probably half of my day is spent in meetings, kind of coordinating, discussing priorities with other groups, reviewing work product that people bring to, to our group for review and for challenge, and kind of signing off on assumptions that are made and that kind of thing. So a lot of time spent in meetings. I also, there's a good amount of time that I spend kind of preparing materials to present to our senior managers, to the CEO of our life insurance business, to our chief financial officer for both the life insurance business and then the one that's over all of our life and retirement business. So, a good amount of time preparing materials in PowerPoint, or, I guess just kind of preparing communications for those folks and keeping them informed of what's going on within the business, what they need to be paying attention to, things that we're seeing as we analyze the data and that kind of thing. And then, I guess I do, every now and then I get to open some spreadsheets and review work that people on my team have done, and kind of play around with spreadsheets and databases and that kind of thing. Don't get to do as much of that anymore as I used to, but certainly, folks coming into the profession, I think at an entry level, you'd spend quite a bit of time and still in Excel or Microsoft Access using a lot of tools that to analyze data and that kind of thing. So, so that's kind of a look at my days. Let's see. I think that's probably all that I'll cover initially about myself. Maggie, I don't know if you want to talk about, or if folks have questions, I can certainly start to answer questions now, or if Maggie, you want to talk about some of the opportunities that we have at AIG?
Yes, sure. Thank you, Brandon. It's really great to hear about your background. I'm sure that there are many students that can relate to being at that point where you're trying to decide what you want to do post-graduation. So the good news is everyone survives. You get to that point, you make a decision, right or wrong, any experience is good experience. So don't fret too much about that. Again, my name is Maggie Renna, and I'm the global manager of the ADP. My team manages the Life and Retirement Actuarial Development Program, and I'm very excited to be here today to tell you a little bit about AIG and about our ADP in particular. So as Brandon was saying, we do have many actuaries working throughout the firm in various aspects. My team, for our goal is to really attract, retain, develop actuaries throughout the life and retirement organization. And during this presentation, you'll see how we focus on promoting and supporting the training of students pursuing the SOA exams, Society of Actuaries exams, with the ultimate goal of attaining fellowship. So we currently have about 110 students on the program. We have 39 of them who are associates. That means they're halfway done to their goal of becoming fellows. And then we have 156 designated fellows. And then we have various people who are what we call career associates. So they started taking exams and stopped at the ASA level. So those are also credentialed actuaries, and we value their experience that they bring to the organization. So I'm going to start the presentation with talking about our actuarial summer internship program. So we offer actuarial interns the opportunity to become immersed in actuarial work for about 10 weeks. You'll learn about actuarial principles, how they're applied at AIG, and this experience is really invaluable for someone who's considering an actuarial career. And I promise you that after spending 10 weeks with us, you'll know for sure if this is something you want to do for the rest of your life or not. You'll definitely be working on a project, a main project, and some smaller assignments. You'll be reporting to an actuary. You will also have a buddy that will kind of show you the ropes throughout the summer. If there are some issues, questions that you have that you don't feel comfortable with bringing to your manager, you can go to your buddy. We offer on-the-job training, which is supplemented with technical, soft skills, senior leader discussions, lots of various programs over the summer. And we use this internship program really as a pipeline to hire full-time personnel post-graduation. So I'm sharing some of the qualifications, minimum GPA, bachelor's or master's degree to be received no later than August of 2023. You have to complete at least one SOA exam by this month. We have lots of, well, we had lots of positions in Houston, Texas, and Woodland Hills, California. At this point in time, we have filled all of our positions, but we never know as projects become, come down the pike. Sometimes we do get interest in hiring additional summer interns. So if that happens, we would definitely be happy to entertain the aspect of reviewing any of your resumes, assuming that you have the right backgrounds, especially having credit for one actuarial exam. That's really important. So I'll pause here. Does anyone have any questions about the internship program or qualifications? I'll give folks
sorry,
some time.
I have a question. Is this also available for alumni? I'm not sure. It says bachelor's or master's degree because I just graduated back in December.
So unfortunately, you would have to still be considered a student.
Okay.
So if you're not part of an advanced degree, then we wouldn't consider you for an internship. And that's really a decision that was made at the corporate level, because our internships are handled by early careers and they're for the entire enterprise. So for the actuarial internship, we can't deviate from what the company does.
I see. Thank you.
But you can certainly apply for a full-time position.
Maggie, would a student have to be a full-time, like if for some reason they wanted to take one class, a graduate course, would that still classify them as a graduate student? They're
They
not
have to be going for a degree.
have to be going for degree. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Good question.
Excuse me, does the internship program open for international students?
Yes. So based on my understanding, there's something called a CPT that you would work with your designated school official to work on. And as long as the school submits the paperwork on your behalf, then we can definitely consider anyone that needs that.
So after graduation, like international student need like OPD, work authorization. So I don't know if the position open for the OPD.
So we consider those on a case-by-case basis. Any other questions? Okay, oops, sorry, went in the wrong direction there. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about full-time opportunities for the benefit of those that are graduating. Sorry, was there another question?
Sorry, I just have just one more question. It's pretty short. Is the internship program that you just mentioned, is that the same? Is that part of your the actual development program, or is that two different things?
It's two different things. So the
Okay.
internship is for undergrads or people pursuing an advanced degree. Post-graduation, we offer positions to some of those former interns. So that's why I said it's a pipeline. After you spend 10 weeks with us, you get the opportunity to see how things operate at AIG. Hopefully you like the experience working with an actuary, doing actuarial work, all of the training, all of the networking that's provided. And so post-internship, we try to make our offers shortly after the internship ends. So we target around the end of August. Unfortunately, we can't make a full-time offer to everyone, but we historically have made offers to 10 to 15 former interns out of 30. So we shoot for half of the class.
So do you have to be part of the internship to be in the ADP program or?
You do not.
Okay.
You do not, no. So there are plenty of people that apply directly to the ADP for full-time positions. And a lot of those folks are undergrads, that know they'll be getting their degree in the spring or in the fall, and they apply to us a few months prior to graduating. We also get some experienced people that perhaps have worked somewhere else for a while and want to move on to a different company, get some different experience. We get career changers, people that used to be in the teaching profession or engineers. We've gotten lawyers, people from all walks of life that really decide for whatever reason that this is something that they'd like to try. So it doesn't mean that you have to go through the internship to join the program. You can earn your way onto the program even if you're already working in the company and want to become a member of the ADP, as long as you have the right qualifications. And most important is your ability to pass exams.
Does the this program, does it also start during the summer, or when does it start?
So there's no formal start period unless you're coming as a former intern.
I see.
So going back to my example where we make offers to interns at the end of the summer, at the end of August, we're making offers to 10 to 15 people to join the company post-graduation. So that particular group may be assigned a date to start in July. But if you're coming to AIG to join the program and you're not part of that cohort, you can join at any time. You don't have to wait until that cohort starts.
Thank you so much.
No problem. Does that answer your questions?
Yeah, it answered all of it.
Okay. All right, great. All right, so moving on to this next slide, I wanted to talk a little bit about eligibility, the support you get, leadership training opportunities. So there are many, many benefits to being part of our ADP. And these benefits are available to our full-time employees that are participating in the program. We call them students, but they're full-time employees. We call them students because they're still taking exams. It's kind of a term of endearment. But we assign all the students to a credentialed actuary, as I said earlier, someone who has been in your shoes, was at one point taking exams and understands the commitment that you need to make to prepare to pass these actuarial exams. Students are required to sit for an exam twice a year as members of the ADP and to pass one exam within 3 tries. And that is a common standard for large actuarial programs like ours. The study time amounts will vary depending on the length of the SOA exam. Every new hire will get a corporate credit card, and they use that card to purchase study material, purchase online study aids like Coaching Actuaries, some of you may be familiar with, or the Infinite Actuary. You use your credit card to pay for the actual exam registration. So this makes it easy in that you don't have to lay out any money. You use the corporate credit card and you're good to go. Upon passing an exam or a module, you are eligible for an exam increase. And if you pass that exam on the first attempt, you will also get a bonus. So that's a pretty good incentive for our folks to get through the exams pretty quickly. As I was saying before, everyone will report to an actuary, and there's lots of support for our students on the part of their managers, on the part of the ADP team, and also local program coordinators. And these coordinators serve as liaisons between the student population and the ADP. They often are available as a resource to students who are looking for advice on how to prepare for an exam, some tips on what worked for them. They also will put together exam celebrations once exam results are out. People like to get together and celebrate their success or commiserate If they didn't pass, things didn't go their way. We have a pretty close network of students, both in Houston and in the Woodland Hills offices. And lastly, the ADP is what we consider to be like an executive training program. So you'll get the skills and relevant work experience that you need to grow as an actuary. The ADP will support APC, the FAC, all the requirements necessary to get you to the fellowship designation. Once you're halfway there and you get your associateship designation, we will pay for your SOA dues annually. We also provide continued education by way of SOA webinars and in-house training that we have through the Life and Retirement Learning Development Committee. Any questions about the full-time program? I know I covered a lot.
I'm not sure if you mentioned the amount of exams you need to have. Is it just one, or do you need 2 or 3 to apply for the program?
You need to have at least one.
Okay.
But I will say a lot of times the candidates that we get will have more than one. Sometimes we see 2+ exams. It just depends. If you're a student at a college that has an actuarial science degree as an option, it's pretty easy to line up the coursework with taking an exam. So it's not unusual for us to see candidates that have, 3 or 4 exams, but you only need one in order to be considered.
Thank you.
And the first 2, P and FM, probability and financial mathematics, are offered 6 times a year.
So they've gone back to their regular schedule now? Because about a year ago, like during mid-pandemic, it was rare to have like a sitting, like maybe 2 or 3 times a year from what I noticed, but
yeah, don't remind me. Yeah, that was a crazy time.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
back in 2020, the spring exams were offered in July, which is very late. And that was just a really crazy time. I'm glad that's in the past. Don't even want to think about that.
6 times a year. And that's no excuse, guys. 6
No
times.
excuse, no excuse. So let me just click on a couple of these hyperlinks. I don't know if that's gonna
Maggie,
work.
can I ask you a question before you go on?
Sure.
Is there a standard entry-level pay, or does it depend on how many exams you have, or this is done case by case?
There is a standard entry-level pay for people that have between 1 and 3 exams, and it's very high in the market. So we don't distinguish between 1, 2, 3 exams. Everybody comes in at the same starting salary.
I have another question. If I didn't have any exams yet, and I didn't register for one yet, will there be any future opportunities for me later on, for like in the internship programs, or like?
Well, in order to be considered for either an internship or a full-time opportunity, you would need to have at least 1 exam passed.
Okay.
Let's see.
I have another question. So
Sure.
there's no deadline for this exam, right? Since there's no like actual start date for the ADP, we don't need to like complete an exam by March this year.
You would need to pass one by March if you want to be considered for an internship this summer.
How about for the ADP? Or does that just
For the
depend, like-
ADP, anytime. You just have to pass one at the time that you apply.
Okay.
So if you sat for one and you don't have the results, or you received a preliminary fail, then you would have to retake the exam and then apply.
I see.
So they let you know right away if you've passed or failed the preliminary exams. For P and FM, As soon as you finish taking the exam, they'll let you know based on their preliminary results, you either passed or you failed. And then the official results will come out a few weeks later. So I'm sharing the SOA Education and membership. I'll make this a little bit bigger. Okay, so most people like the P Camp, this is what you cover if you register for that P Camp that the University of Houston offers, which is a really great opportunity for you to prepare for this first exam. This probability and financial mathematics, these are the ones that are offered 6 times a year. The VEEs, you may be able to get credit for based on coursework that you've taken. And I'll show you that slide, how to get credit for that in a couple of minutes. So the first 2 exams are here, and then you move on to SRM and fundamentals of actuarial mathematics. These are new exams. The FAM is going to replace what used to be LTAM. So most of you probably have not started taking some of these exams yet, so this doesn't make a difference to you. But for anybody that was taking exams, there were some changes made. There was 1 exam removed and a couple of new ones introduced. So if you go on the Society of Actuaries website, you'll see the current exams, and you'll see information about what topics are covered on each exam. You will also find out what material you can use to prepare for the exams and registration dates. So this is a pathway to ASA. Now let's see if I can get back to the other one. Nope. Sorry.
To the. Oh, are you looking for your slide? Okay, all right.
Yeah, it's just easier to stop sharing sometimes.
Yeah,
okay. So the other slide that I wanted to share was on the VEEs. And you can see, hopefully I'm sharing this now. Okay, so the validation by educational experience, there are 3 different aspects to the VEEs. There's economics, accounting and finance, mathematical statistics. And as I said, you might be able to get credit for these based on coursework that you took at school. You can check on eligibility requirements here on this link. Usually, okay. So this tells you a little bit about how to apply for credit. If you think that you may have credit for the course already, you apply to the SOA and they will review the coursework and say whether or not you get credit for the VEEs. You will need to pass all 3 of them in order to get your ASA designation. And a lot of people do get credit for the VEEs, but there are also lots of students that do not get credit through their school. So you're not really at too much of a disadvantage. It just means that you have to take another exam. Any questions on that?
Can I ask, so like, I imagine the workload is like 40 hours a week, but on top of, are you expected to study for the exams in addition to the 40 or however many hours a typical actuary works, or do you use some of the company time towards studying?
Yeah, that's a great question. So you do get study time to prepare for the exams, and the number of hours really depends on the length of the exam. So for example, if it's, I know under LTAM, which is going to be the FAM exam, you would get 120 hours, which you could take, you know, any time during the exam period between January and June. And all you need to do is really work out when you'd like to study, put together a worksheet and share that with your manager, have that conversation with your manager about your plans. And once that's approved, that's pretty much set in stone. The expectation is that on the days that you are expected to study, you won't be around, you won't be available for work. That's not to say that sometimes something may blow up at work and you may feel that you want to stick around and change your study time schedule for that particular day. That can happen. Or maybe your boss will ask you if you consider changing your plans, and that's fine. We just make sure that you take your study time as soon as possible after that.
Right. So the intention is that you aren't spending non-company time studying. Like, you should be able to get it all done within the allotted time that the company gives you. Or have you seen a lot? No, it's extra.
You'll have to put in a significant amount of your own personal time. So
yeah, I know it gets harder as you go. So I don't know about the upper level exams, how much outside of work time that takes.
So I've heard for every hour of an exam, it's 100 hours to prepare. And Brandon, you might have some thoughts on this since you went through all of them.
No, I think that's about right. Yeah, you expect for every hour of the exam, unless it's, I don't think that it's changed really. You're expected, you expect to be able to pass, you expect to take, study 100 hours per hour of the exam. I think the other thing, just to kind of give a feel for the amount of study time you get, as Maggie was talking about, it varies a bit now because the exams have been broken up into a bunch of different sized pieces. But typically it works out to about, students typically spend about a quarter of their time studying. I think, especially in the weeks leading up to an exam, if that's 2 hours a day, every day of the week, 2 hours of your 8-hour day, or 1 full day of the week or something like that. That's kind of how, how it works out. So.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I know we need to kind of wrap up, but sorry.
Continue. I know, yeah, that's what I was going to say. I know I've been taking too much time here. So I just wanted to mention, the rotation process is really an important part of the program. And the way that works is we have our students rotate to a completely new assignment every 24 to 36 months. And this ensures that they'll get exposure to different parts of the organization. Most students on average will have about 3 rotations under their belt by the time that they graduate off the ADP. Aside from being part of the actuarial development program, all of our employees, we feel really benefit from getting more diversity in their work and, exploring different opportunities to get to know other people, other situations. So we do encourage a lot of diversity. And to that end, we have these ERGs, they're called employee resource groups. And we have many of them that we encourage our employees to get involved in. And just to name a few, we have Asian Leadership Network, Black Professionals, Interfaith, Latino Network, Middle Eastern, Multicultural, Women and Allies. So we encourage all of our employees to join at least one ERG while they're with the firm. So I just wanted to give a quick plug on that. Quickly, I'll go through the career path that our students go through. Upon college graduation, you would come in at this actuarial assistant level. And after about 2 years and passing a few exams, you would be promoted to the actuarial associate level. The next opportunity for promotion is at the ASA designation. At this point, you can expect to have a lot of exams passed and a couple of rotations under your belt. And then once you complete all of your exams, you graduate off the program, become an associate actuary. And from there, there's really no end to how far you can go with your career as an actuary at AIG. So sorry, I didn't mean to rush towards the end, but I know that we are over time. Are there any other questions anyone has?
I'm not sure if you mentioned how we can apply for the ADP.
You can apply through our company website. I think it's aigcareers.com.
Yeah, we can find the link and put it in the chat. If, I'll look for it, Maggie.
Yeah, I know it used to be that, but I'm not sure if it's still active since we have filled all of our internship spots. So yeah, let me double check that.
We'll probably take some questions if Brandon or Maggie are able to stay afterward. If not, you guys can always shoot an email to them, which I will provide. But thank you so much, Maggie and Brandon. I really appreciate it. Love to see you guys always.
Thank you.
Yes, no problem. Okay, so now we're gonna have Willis Towers Watson, and we're gonna have Mr. Caleb Harmon and Kate Cange speak.
Thanks, everyone. It's nice to meet you. Nice to finally meet and talk with Ty before. Hope you guys can hear me okay. Just wanted to go through, my biography real quick, and mine's actually pretty easy because I feel like Brandon was just reading mine. I started as an engineer as well, and then I went to computer science for a little bit, and then switched over to a full math degree. But I stumbled upon the actuarial field probably a year earlier in my college than he did. So I had a little bit of time in my small school that I went to prepare for some exams. And so I was able to take some classes to help prepare for P and FM. And when I say small school, I actually came from Idaho State. Down here, I'm usually the first person most people have ever met from Idaho, because there's not a lot of us, and there's even fewer actuaries in Idaho. So when I started, I didn't really know which field of actuarial science I wanted to go into. There's lots of different opportunities with, consulting actuaries and, risk management actuaries and insurance actuaries. And I just kind of started applying for everywhere, and got hired by a company that was called Watson Wyatt at the time. And I've just loved it ever since. I've gotten a lot of good exposure at the job that I do now, and had plenty of opportunities to grow. What I did find super helpful, especially when I started out in the process to get a job, is, I did a lot of phone screens, initially, and had, conversations with people, because being from Idaho, they weren't flying me out to meet with people. And so I actually practiced those a lot with a lot of people. And now that we're, more of a virtual environment, I think that's critical that students are practicing and ready for these phone screens and video screens. Because as we're reviewing these, video preparations that the students have done, you really can distinguish those people that are very well spoken versus those that are just reading a script. So that practice is very invaluable for anyone who's trying to get an open position. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Kat real quick to kind of give her biography, and then we'll go through a little bit more about what WTW is these days.
Thanks, Caleb. Hi, everyone. I am Kat Cange, and I am also a retirement actuary. And maybe to clarify a little bit, because Brandon mentioned retirement actuaries on his end, Caleb and I are consulting retirement actuaries, which is a little bit different than a retirement actuary who works on retirement products for the company that they work at. Caleb and I do consulting to all of our clients who offer retirement benefits to all of their employees. So Caleb will probably get into a little bit about what a typical day looks like, but the answer is there isn't a typical day. So sorry, Caleb, if I stole your thunder, but how did I get here? Similar to Brandon and Caleb, I really loved math and didn't think I wanted to be a teacher, and figured that just meant that I wouldn't do anything with math if I didn't want to be a teacher. And I was very interested in business, and I was lucky to have a dad who did a little bit of research on my behalf. And so even before going into college, he had discovered that actuarial science was a perfect mix of math and business. And so I spent basically my whole college career studying it from day one. So I was fortunate with that research my dad did, but I didn't really know what that meant in terms of a job. I just knew the classes I was taking. But I think advice on, what can you do to prepare for a position is probably exactly what all of you are doing right this minute. listen to employers present, try to get exposure to the different career paths that you can take, and see if you can start getting a feel for how it all, you've got the same base knowledge, but it all looks a little different. I like to say it's sort of like law, right? We're all studying actuarial science, but you could become a criminal defense attorney, or you could be an environmental attorney, and you can do a bunch of different things with law, but at the basic level, it's all similar base knowledge. So I encourage you guys to continue, attending as many of these types of things as possible, and seek out those internships. I think my internship in college was invaluable to me. It happened to be in the retirement consulting area, and then I liked it so much I stuck with it. So I echo Caleb's advice on practice with, interviewing, practice with discussing, the types of things that you might encounter on an interview, and then keep seeking out these types of opportunities to learn more and more about the different avenues that you can take. But I will say a little bit more about WTW. Like I mentioned, Caleb and I are retirement consulting actuaries. WTW is a huge global firm, and we employ all different types of actuaries. We actually have P&C actuaries on our side who work in our risk and broking department, but we also have benefits consulting actuaries. So that can be an actuary who consults a company on the benefits that they are offering their employees. Again, Caleb and I deal with the retirement benefits. We have a bunch of colleagues who deal with the medical benefits that companies will offer their employees. But generally speaking, the difference is that instead of becoming very proficient in one product line that you work at within your insurance company, you basically have a bunch of different clients that you work with, and you will help them navigate the strategy and cost of the different benefits that they're offering their employees. And it makes it fun for us because every client is offering something different, and every client has a different business objective, business strategy. They're in all different types of industries. And so, you get to work with a bunch of different CFOs, and you get to work with a bunch of different investment committees, and you get to see a bunch of different, business strategies play out with your different clients. So it's a little bit different in that you kind of see a little bit of interesting different things every day, instead of kind of working just for your own company that you're employed by. And maybe a little bit more context about WTW. We're quite large. We have about 1,000 credentialed retirement actuaries in the US. We are the biggest retirement actuarial provider in the consulting space. So not the retirement product actuaries, but retirement consulting actuaries. So we too have very robust internship programs and exam programs. Honestly, they sound very similar to y'all's AIG. So it's nice to know that there's a lot of different companies putting emphasis on, rotational programs and I&D efforts. But that's a little bit of a quick bio on me, a little bit of a quick bio on WTW. I'm going to hand it over to Caleb to give you a little bit more of a flavor for what maybe a consulting day looks like, but then more specifically what our internship looks like.
Yeah, thanks, Kat. And I know she mentioned that no 2 days are the same, which is very true, but it's also false in the sense that every day I'm challenged and I get the opportunity to work in things that I love to do. And so I know when I come in, every day it's something new, but it's something challenging. And then I get to apply the knowledge and work with some, a really great group of people. A typical day, we have a bunch of, clients that we do work for. And so, we're assigned to client teams where, a lead retirement consultant or, one of the consultants on the team like Kat or I, we're talking to the clients and we're, helping them navigate the things that they need to work on, every year or what issues might come up. And then we disseminate those projects down to the team where the team then gets to put together, project plans and, and really dig into some of the analysis. And so, like she said, every client is different. They all offer different things. And so every opportunity and every client is very different, what we get to do all the time. Which is also, in my view, pretty awesome because, what I was doing 10 years ago or 13 years ago when I started is very different than what I do now. And even the consultants, they get to do things very different now. So a typical day for me is just kind of like that, where I'm working with clients, I'm helping the teams navigate, the projects that we're working on for clients, helping to put together those deliverables, and then making sure that, it meets what the client's objective is, and then going out and presenting to the clients that we do have. Our internships and new hire positions, they're very similar. We treat our interns kind of like a new hire. Our internship is roughly 10 weeks during the summer, where again, similar to AIG, you're assigned a buddy that's someone, at a very low level that you can just bounce any kind of question on. It doesn't matter how, dumb you might think it is, or how, you have the opportunity just to ask them anything, because we've all been in the shoes of not knowing anything. And you kind of feel down just asking anybody that kind of question. So everyone's assigned a buddy, you're assigned a manager and then a mentor. Somebody, like Kat, where, you get to go to client meetings with them, and really get to see, what it is that you get to do kind of in the later stages of your career. In the past, we've also had the opportunity to partner with other companies, our clients, so not other actuaries, but we've been able to partner with their interns, so that our interns get to kind of work together, and, they get to see what it's like on the corporate side. Since Kat and I work so much, with, CEOs and CFOs and HR directors, sometimes we don't get to see all the stuff that they're doing and how busy that they are. But our interns get to see that sometimes. And so we've had some really unique opportunities for interns to do some projects that are almost not actuarial at all. But it does help prepare them to learn, what does the corporate world get to do? In the virtual environment that we've had the last couple of years, it looks like it's almost, here to stay. We've had a lot of opportunities for our interns and new hires to start joining client meetings almost from day one, rather than, spending that time to take them to a client's office. Now it's just as easy to have them jump on and be able to participate with the senior consultants in presenting materials. This last summer, our interns also had the opportunity to run a full project, from start to finish, to analyze data for a union negotiation, and then they got to present it to the client. We worked with the client ahead of time, and they were fully aware that this is how we were going to do it. But myself and somebody else on the team, we were there to help mentor them and make sure that they weren't doing anything wrong or saying anything wrong. But they got to present to their, to the client and their ERISA counsel. So an attorney was on there trying to poke holes into things, but they were so well prepared that they did a great job. Similarly to, as Kat mentioned, the study program, we do provide study hours for, new hires and also our interns. So our interns get, roughly half the study hours that a new hire would get, really trying to get them to help learn and take some of those exams. New hires get to start working on clients immediately. They're assigned, a bunch of client teams. They're part of a small team with a project manager and a technical reviewer to help navigate them. The things that Kat and I do, can take, sometimes more than a year to really get comfortable. And, every time that they pass a new law, which seems to happen almost every other year now or every year, a lot of changes happen in our business, and it can be, somewhat hard to follow and really grasp what's going on the first year or two. So we make sure that you're set up for success and that you have somebody who's really going to check over your work and make sure that you're learning. But then there's some people that decide that, hey, I took enough exams in college and I don't want to take any more. And that's the cool thing about what, at WTW is there's so many opportunities for people that, maybe they don't want to take any more exams or they don't want to take any exams, but they really like the data analytics. And so, there's opportunities for those people. Now, again, it's not, necessarily a consultant facing opportunity in retirement, but it could be. We do have opportunities in health and benefits, where you're managing, and valuing the benefits for clients today. So, what are their medical benefits and, leave benefits and other, other benefits that they might have. Some of those consultants aren't taking exams and they don't want to take exams. We also have other people that, maybe they like the retirement space, kind of like what Kat and I do, but they also don't want to take exams. And so there's a place for some of those those students too, where they can start working in, kind of more of like a centralized, specialized center where they're supporting the teams. They're, doing the analytics, they're really focusing on getting their, learning how to use our tools, prepare deliverables and prepare everything, and then working closely with the senior consultants to get that out to the client. So just wanted to throw that out there that not everyone who wants to work in an actuarial business has to be an actuary. Kat and I, we've taken all the exams that we all want to take, and we're kind of glad to be done. But if I had to say, if I had to go through it again, I don't know if I'd want to make the same decision. The exams are tough, right? I'm glad to be done. I'm sure that all the actuaries will say that. But for those people, like I said, who don't want to take exams or whatever, decided it's maybe not for them, but I love doing the math and analytics, there's a spot for you. And I did put in the chat below that there is I sent our career website, and we still do have internship opportunities and full-time position opportunities for after this semester. I know in the Retirement Houston, we're still looking for another intern for this next summer. Our interns, you don't have to have an exam passed for an internship, but similar for what AIG wants to start a full-time position, kind of in what Kat and I do. You're going to want at least one exam. It's difficult when somebody only has 1, 2, and they're very similar to other candidates who have multiple exams. So I think sometimes those exams do set people apart. So if that is a track, I would emphasize that it's really important to try to pass some of those things as quickly as you can, while also trying to enjoy life, right? Exams seem to take away from enjoying life too much. But I think that's kind of it about our internship and job opportunities. Wanted to kind of open it up to questions or see if there was anything that Kat wanted to add from what I missed.
I guess I'll ask one. So as like consulting as life insurance actuaries, like who are the clients? Are they businesses? Are they people who sell the life insurance, or who are the clients of that business?
So for us, our clients are Fortune 500, Fortune 1000 companies, right? So like think of the biggest names that and those are probably our clients. What we do is when, like United Airlines or McDonald's or whoever it is offers benefits to their employees, when you guys take your first full-time position, right? You're going to sign up for medical benefits. Someone's going to explain to you that you get a 401k retirement benefit. And then some very, very large companies will have pension plans. And pension plans are basically something that you get paid when you retire just because you worked for the company. They are awesome and I highly recommend them. And we still offer one. Just going to plug ourselves for that. But what we do is that we go and talk to the management and leadership teams of those huge companies and say, hey, you've got 50,000 employees and you're promising all these benefits. We're going to help run a cost on what that is. For pension plans, you can't know when someone's going to retire. You can't know how long they're going to work for a company. You can't know what their salary is going to be. So all those statistics that you guys are used to running, right? That all comes into play when we're projecting the cost of these benefits. And you don't really know how long someone's going to live. So when they start taking that future pension, they get it for the rest of their lives. So that's all those actuarial contingency models that you may or may not have studied yet. So it looks similar to a life actuary in the sense of all the underlying math is probably similar. But on our end, we calculate a projected cost for every single employee that's getting promised this benefit. And then we present that total cost to management and say, did you know that this is costing you $500 million? If that's risky, what can we do about it? What are your investments look like? How are you managing this risk? So for us, it's much more business consultation around the costs of these benefits, and you have to project those benefits using actuarial numbers. I would be happy to let Brandon speak to this more than me because I've never worked at an insurance company, but my limited understanding, Brandon, feel free to cut me off and force me onto mute, is that you're developing a product that you're going to go sell to the marketplace. So you're going to develop a life insurance product where you're calculating using actuarial math, what money should I charge Bob or Susan or whoever may need a life insurance product? What money should I charge them while they're alive and paying for this coverage, right? And then what's the likelihood? What are the statistics around when is that product going to have to come to be paid? When is that death going to occur and they're going to get the life insurance payout? Brandon, you correct everything wrong I just said.
No, I think that's spot on. That's right. I guess the only other piece is that, so that's probably like more on the product side of the house, but we also have a ton of actuaries that do valuation that are valuing the business that we've already sold. We have to set aside money to pay our life insurance claims in the future, and so they're calculating how much money we need to set aside or reserve, how much reserve we need to hold for those policies that we've sold and are on our books now. So probably in that regard, a similar calculation to what you all are doing on the pension side. So, I don't know if you meant to ask about consulting on the life insurance side as well, and who would be a client. I did work in consulting for 3 years when I was not at AIG. And so similarly, so for a life insurance consultant, I would say our clients were more large life insurance companies like AIG, Prudential, MetLife, all of the big name life insurers. So not a McDonald's, not any company, but certainly a life insurance company. And the type of work that one would do in life insurance consulting is more kind of advising those insurance companies on how to implement new regulations, providing best practices on their modeling, staff augmentation when companies don't have the amount of actuaries that they need for some special project or something like that to supplement the staff of those life insurance companies. But so yeah, slightly different. The client for a life insurance consulting role would be more of would typically be a life insurance company.
Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions?
I have one question. So like, what's the difference between like a chartered financial analyst and like an FSA?
So a chartered financial analyst probably is not going to have to study the level of probably any actuarial contingency type material or curriculum. We have some FSAs who I guess are just like gluttons for punishment and go ahead and get their CFAs, but generally, I know I'm laughing. I'm like, kudos to them. I stopped at FSA-EA, but in a retirement world, and really actually under an actuarial standards of practice world, there's certain things that only a credentialed actuary can sign off on. There's certain things that a company who has a need for an actuary is only able to use credentialed actuaries for specific certain results. And similarly, just within the actuarial business world, I'm sure AIG is the same, but there's certain kind of governing rules in terms of standards of practice where you have to be a qualified professional in the actuarial subject matter to be able to work on that type of project. So I would say CFAs without an actuarial credential, to Caleb's earlier point, within our WTW world, certainly there's a spot for you. You're obviously highly technically capable, right? You're really good at analysis, but up to a certain point, there would be things that you would not be allowed to sign off on because you are not a credentialed actuary, and it requires a credentialed actuary to do so.
I would add one maybe small note to that, and perhaps just for folks that may not be familiar with the CFA credential or the differences between the actuarial credentials. So I am not a CFA and I can't speak at length to what a CFA does, but the way I kind of think about it is that CFAs are mostly trained on the asset side of the balance sheet, where actuaries are typically well trained on the liability side of the balance sheet. So we talked about, we can value the liability for, using statistics that a company would have to pay their pension benefits, or that a company would have to pay a life insurance, its life insurance claims in the future. And that's where we kind of, as actuaries, kind of have special training. Like, you don't have to learn the things that apply to be a CFA. You don't have to learn the concepts that apply to the liabilities on a company's balance sheet. So if that's helpful at all.
Thank you.
Well, I know we're over time as well. I think Caleb mentioned that he put the internship link for our interns in the chat. But certainly we're looking forward to networking with the UH community more, and we're excited to get this opportunity to speak to you guys. So if anyone has any questions afterwards that we didn't get time for, because I know we're going over time, then you guys feel free to shoot us some questions, because we're always happy to help guide. We've all been there, right? Caleb, Brandon, and I, we've all been there, and we know that it can be a interesting time to navigate your career choices. So certainly reach out if you have any other questions.
I'll definitely reach out to you guys too.
Okay, good. Perfect.
Sure. Any other questions? Okay, thank you guys. I really appreciate you coming and presenting to our students. Really appreciate it.
Quick question. I have a question.
Okay.
So between the requirements for like in mathematics, like the mathematics needed for like a CFA versus an actuarial exam necessarily, what kind of varies on it? I know that some of them use probability, statistics, but like what other processes of mathematics do you usually find in the difference between those two exams?
Between CFA and all the actuarial exams?
Yes. Kind of like what kind of...
I would say probably what you said. I would guess that's where it stops there. I also have never taken the CFA exams. But to Brandon's point, I think once you get past probability and interest theory, certainly interest theory is common between the two, I would imagine. Maybe not even probability, to be honest. I think most of the rest of our exams very much focus on the appropriate way to put an actuarial valuation to something that's unknown, a payout, a risk that's unknown, right? Like insurance, it's risks that aren't known. You can't know when it's going to happen. Pension payments, you can't know when they're going to happen. And I think the CFA exams, to my very limited knowledge, are much more finite mathematical exams. Brandon, you said it very well, I think focused around like the asset valuation of a financial statement, as opposed to how to put a number to a liability that is based on a contingent event. I don't think the CFA exams go anywhere near how to value contingent events. And that's basically what all actuaries are doing.
So actuaries kind of put a price on risk, while as the CFAs kind of put a price on an asset or financial assets.
That's a good way to think about it.
Thank you for answering my question.
Any more questions before we let them go? All right. Thanks again, guys. Appreciate it.
Yep. Thanks, good luck, everyone.
Talk to you guys soon.
Bye.
Okay, so now I will present our spring 2022 scholarship recipients. I will be reading some of the statements, and then some of the recipients will read their own statements. So we're going to start with the Benner Scholarship recipients. I think I have, who's first on my list? Jordan Reed is first. And I think Jordan is going to read her statement if Jordan is here.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jordan B. It's nice to see everyone, or not so much see everyone, but just something special about me is that I'm currently a senior. I will be graduating this spring. I maintain a 3.9 GPA, and I'm currently pursuing a Bachelor's of Science, double majoring in mathematics and psychology. In addition to my academic pursuits, I am a residential advisor at Cougar Village 2, where I serve and help my residents to reach their fullest potential.
Awesome. And Jordan is a Benner recipient. Okay, Damon Spencer. And Damon is also a Benner recipient.
Yes, hello, hello, Ty. Yes, something special about me is I like to play chess in my free time. It's kind of fun. Yeah, I am a computer engineering and math major over here. I'm graduating next May.
Awesome. Okay. All right, I think we have Caleb, and Caleb is also a Benner recipient, but he wasn't able to attend. His statement is, one of my hobbies is playing a dance game called Pump It Up. And if y'all, I've never heard of that, but if any of y'all have heard of it, that's his hobby, Pump It Up, okay? So, okay, our fourth is a Grover recipient, Nam Fung Tai, and I'm also gonna be reading for her. The bravest thing I've ever done is jump off a 45-foot cliff into the ocean with neither knowledge to swim nor a life vest. I ended up with a broken heel bone and a pair of crutches. Okay, next, let's see, Gerald Howard, and I'm also reading for him. Gerald, my name is Jerry Howard, and I'm originally from Austin, Texas. Something interesting about me is that I actually came to the University of Houston as a business student. Although I will still be completing my business degree, jointly pursuing a degree in mathematics has been my greatest challenge and by far the most enriching piece of my college experience. Okay. And Jordan and Fung Tai are both Grover Scholarship recipients. Our third scholarship recipient for Grover was Sujan Lamsal. And we're moving into mathematics undergraduate scholarship, Zain Bhatti. And also Ethan Hawkins. I don't think I have any statements for them. And last but not least, our Henry Graham Scholarship is Audrey Tador. And she will read her special statement.
Hi, everyone. So I recently got my class ring last semester, and something that's really special to me about that is on the side, it says the motto "in time." And I can really appreciate that because my college path has not been traditional in the sense that it's taken me longer than 4 years, and I've transferred universities, taken some time off in between. So it's really special to me to be getting my degree from the University of Houston.
Congratulations, good. That's awesome. Okay, so those are all of our scholarship recipients. Congratulations, guys. And the last portion is we have our Pi Mu Epsilon induction ceremony. And I want to say Anna, I think Anna is going to present our students, I think. Is that you, Anna? Yes?
Yes, this is me. Hi, everyone.
Anna.
I am the president of Pi Mu Epsilon, in case you guys don't know.
Awesome.
I'm going to share my screen. Is that okay?
Yes, sure.
Oh, it says host disabled
Yeah,
participant.
I need to give you co-host.
Okay. Well, I hope everyone's doing okay.
Thank you. You too. I'm doing well. It's just a little cold in my office.
I think everyone's kind of excited that spring break's about to start.
Yes.
Okay, can you guys see my screen?
We can.
Okay. Okay, can you guys still see it?
Yes.
Okay, so Pi Mu Epsilon, in case I think everybody here knows, but it's like the National Mathematics Honor Society here at the University of Houston. And these past few semesters have been rough because usually our induction is face-to-face, but because of COVID, we really haven't had the chance to do that. So thank you to everyone for allowing us to be here and present our inductees and give them like acknowledgement, because this is something that is not everyone can do. There's certain requirements that you have to be able to do to get into Pi Mi Epsilon. So to start off, we have Brian Alejandro Gutierrez. Then we have Cassandra De Leon. Shade Juliet Josephine Lewis. Randy Pham. Alejandro Gonzalez Salinas. And Damon Reynolds Spencer Jr.
Awesome.
And that would be it.
Yeah, it's great. Thank you so much, Anna, for presenting for them.
Yes, thank you for giving us the opportunity.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. Does anybody have any other questions? Because that concludes the meet and greet. Anybody have any questions or suggestions? Nope. Okay. Well, thanks everybody for coming, and thanks for allowing us to present on your Friday right before spring break.
Thank you.
All right. See you guys.